Hi, and welcome back to the Low-Level Devil Channel's Building Your Own Linux Distribution from Scratch series. If you haven't seen the previous video in the series, you really should check it out first to make sure you can follow along. I'll put a link in the description. Now, in this video, we'll continue on with our scripts for creating our initial build environment. So let's get started. And first of all, I want to show you a small change that I didn't show in the previous video for setting up the dist build user's bash rc file. So first off, you'll see up here the dist root. We need to export that variable. We could have added to the export list here at the bottom like LFS is, but I'll just export it there. Either way, it doesn't matter, it's all the same. So now let's move on with building the first part of the tool chain. We'll look at bin utils. Now, the first thing we do is we need to extract the file, and these instructions take place after you've already extracted the tar and moved into it. So let's talk about how to do that. So first, let's see, I'm going to cd into the LFS sources directory. Let's see, and actually we're going to want to create a subdirectory for all the different build scripts. So we don't want one gigantic script, we want a smaller subset of scripts that we can modify independently. The smaller scripts are more focused, and it just like regular coding, smaller code is more focused and makes it easier to modify and maintain. So we'll create a build script for each one of these tools. So we'll start with bin utils pass1.sh. So, and at the very top of this, the first thing we're going to have to do is extract this file. Let's see, bin utils. Okay, actually we're going to replace that with bash build underscore scripts. And actually, first we need to cd into the dist root. Then we can run bash build scripts / and bin utils pass-1.sh. So let's move over to our script here, and at the very start, the first thing we want to do is actually untar that sources file. First we want to cd into sources, then we can untar it, because that's where the file is. So we'll just do tar-xf followed by the tar file name, and then cd into the extracted directory. And at the very end, we want to actually make sure we delete that extracted directory, so we're not just keeping all these files and building up the storage space. So then between that, this is where the instructions from this page go. So we want to make a build directory, change into it, run the configure script, and this actual LFS page will go over all the details of these flags and what they all mean and all of that. And then we want to run make and make install. We want to do that before we delete it. So make and make install. And that would be our very first script. Actually, we want to cd to the sources directory before we delete that directory, because it won't exist in the current directory we're in. Alright, so now let's go through and actually try to run this. And actually what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to insert some bad command names, something that will actually cause it to break. And then I'll run this thing for GCC as well. So I'll create a new file for GCC pass1.sh, which is the next page. And I'll just put a thing at the top inside GCC pass1. Okay, and I'll just copy. So what I'm going to do here is add the -e option. So that'll cause the build to the script to fail right away, and if I put set E at the top of this script, as soon as any of these scripts fail, it'll immediately stop. So let's say GCC pass 1, and then what's the next one? Actually, we don't need to do that. Let's just say if I go into here and I try to run this create script, it should actually, yeah, dist build env is where I need to go. Alright, yes, build env. So echo, what do I need to do here? Dist root. And it's not set because I haven't set it on this user yet. So if I run create again, you get the error because dist root is not set. So let me just switch user to our dist build user. Let me clear first. SU, which is switch user, and then dist build username and dash. Alright, so now dist root, and there we go. We're all set. And now if we look at our bash RC, we need to add that export because I didn't regenerate the user after doing that. Oh, actually, sudo. Need to run sudo. I think I created it as a root user. That was the issue. So let me clear. And let's see if I try to run that lslstr, you run create. Dist root is not set. Oh, I need to exit and log back in for that change to take effect that I made. Create. So creating build environment, and you'll see, let's see, cd to create build environment, no such file or directory. Oh, you know what? I put the wrong path in there. It's got the old one, the home LLD. So let me go in and change that. First, I want to change the permissions because I had to do sudo on it before, and I don't want to have to do that. So tilde star dot. Let's see, change own from dist build colon dist build. No such file. I need to put dot in front of it. There you go. That picks up my regular files. Now I can just vi.bashrc and go change these, take off that /home, and I think we should be good to go then. So now let's run create. And oh, I gotta exit and re-enter again. I could have just sourced it, but it's no big deal. So now again, all to .create and creating build environment. Right now it's extracting, and now you see bad command names. And now immediately the script ends. It didn't call the GCC script, and that's what we want to happen because we don't want it to fail in the middle of one of these builds and then just keep building everything else. So that's why we did it that way. Now let's go back up to, let's remove that. So now we'll see what happens when it fails, and it'll stop at the last one it failed. And now we can actually run it this time, and let's let it run. And I'll just fast forward it, and at the end here you'll see the GCC pass 1. So now we know it went to the second script. So everything was successful. So if we do find /lfs, we'll see all the things that were installed. Actually, all this is the sources. I can pipe grep -v sources, so it doesn't show sources. And then we get to see all the files that got installed. All these things in the tools directory. There we go. And if you do -v in grep, that essentially says grep any lines that don't contain this. So the opposite of a normal grep. Alright, now we'll clear and move back on to the GCC. So that's the bin utils in GCC. The first thing I see at the top is these other packages that I didn't download. So I need to add those to our download list. MPFR, GMP, and MPC. So let me go find those in our... So I'm just going to run through these, pull them out of there, pull that one in here, and now we're ready to go again. So now if we run prepare, .sh, permission denied. Gotta change the owner on that, I guess. Yes, there you go. So now notice that it just started off right at those 3 files. Didn't re-download the ones that were in it before. So that's why it's useful to add that in this script, as I mentioned when we were first creating it. So now let's get rid of this inside GCC pass1. I'm going to actually put some text up at the top just to let you know we're starting on this next one. I'm just going to maybe sleep for 1 second. So we'll just be able to see this little header as it starts each new package that it builds. So again, we want to just duplicate the same thing we did before with extracting that file, and we can get that from the, let me see this here, GCC. And one more thing we need to do, again, we need to cd to sources and delete that package. Let's make this rm-rf. Get rid of this tar statement. So that's our cleanup process. I see myself repeating code. I start to get in the mode that I really need to externalize that. But for right now, I think I'm just going to keep it as is until it starts to really annoy me. Alright, next we'll move on to the Linux API headers. So we'll create Linux headers.sh and back to build env. This is the tar file we need. Linux headers tar dash x. First we gotta, let's see, I'll just copy stuff from here, all that, and I'll make this Linux headers. So then I'm going to cd into that directory, and cd to LFS sources at the end, and rm that directory. It's already starting to annoy me, this repeating and copy and paste of code. Okay, now moving on, we're gonna call make mr proper, because that's the first thing you do with the Linux when you want to build it. And I'll just copy these instructions here. It's creating all the include files and moving them to the user include directory. And that should be all that's needed for that file. So the next one would be glibc. So one of the main libraries of the operating system, as it has all the system calls and all the implementations of the C standard API. So we'll create a script for that. I'm going to again copy and paste. We'll call this glib. Just grab this glib tar file. cd lfs sources, tar-xf cd c-2.33. Alright, and copy and paste that down here. Change this to rm-rf. Alright, so now we start putting in the code for this. We only want the 64-bit section of this code, so we can ignore that i386 section. Unless for some reason you really want to support 32-bit x86. Now going back to the LFS page, the next thing we see is a patch glib, and I don't think that I got that patch, so let me go grab that. Let's grab that from our build list. If I search glibc, nope, it's not there. So then I need to go pull it from, okay, yeah, up here. So glibc, let's see, there we go. So just grab this one, and it looks like that's the only other one we should need. So yeah, we paste it down here at the bottom. And again, we can run prepare, and there it downloaded it. Okay, so now we can continue on with this process, run the patch program. So we need to go into, make a build directory and cd into it, run the configure script. Okay, all that's, and can ignore this, make, and make, this time we're using a dest-dir install. So make, so you can see its prefix is just /user. So instead of just a regular make install, we need to set the dest-dir equals $lfs install. So that'll install it actually in the LFS path /user. And down here at the bottom, we do some validating to make sure it's actually got the right parameters when we try to do a build with this libc. So let's just take this code here, and we're going to paste that into our file after we install. So what this is essentially doing is just, actually, yeah, I'm going to sleep for 5 seconds first. And I'll put some messages here. Testing glibc. So then I'm going to run this command, and that's simply creating a dummy C file that just has a main and does nothing, and then it reads the link to make sure, actually we don't need that. So it won't read to make sure that it's linking to the correct place for the LD Linux x86-64, so .2. That is the what do you call it? The dynamic linker library, essentially. So it allows it to load dynamic libraries. We want to make sure it's linking to the right one and not one on the host system. So let's go read off, and I'll sleep 5 seconds after that so we can just see the output from it. And after that, we just run this make headers. Another very important thing, you have to have the right headers for the right glibc version when you're compiling. So again, we'll just, I'm going to comment that one out because I already ran it. I don't want to really add all the logic to be able to rerun these and test if they're installed. So let's see. This one is going to be Linux headers.sh followed by glibc.sh. and I'll say echo done at the end. So let me go ahead and just run this. Create, and it's starting GCC pass 1. Right now it's extracting. That's why it's just kind of blinking there. The extract, it's a pretty big file, so, and now it's starting off. I'm just going to jump here to the end, and there we see the testing glibc, and we see it has the right file. So we know it actually built correctly. And yeah, this actually took almost 15 minutes to run. So yours, you don't be surprised if it takes anywhere between 5 to 20 minutes to run, depending on your CPU and how many cores and all that. So now we can go into, let's see, glibc, and let's see, we can actually remove all this test file. We don't need it anymore. I just wanted to run that the first time. Or we can keep it testing and just remove the sleeps. I'm going to back to the create file and just comment these out because they're already installed. So before I start installing the next ones, I don't want to have to reinstall those. And the next one will actually be libstdc++, which is from that same GCC file, but you got to make sure you delete the contents between each one of them, which we're doing at the top and bottom of each of these files. Okay, so for this one I can actually just copy the GCC pass 1 and paste it and rename it. I'll rename it libstdcpp-pass-1. And let's see, we do the cd build. This configure is going to be a little different, so let's get rid of all this stuff first, and we don't need this sed command first. We do need the build. Put this, change this configure path, and let's see, it's a dester install again. So there we go. We don't need this anymore, and that cleanup will all be the same. And we can just do bash-e build scripts libstdcpp-pass-1.sh. And now we're going to start getting into the cross-compiling the temporary tools. So I'm just going to kind of skip through this part. Onto M4 will actually be the first tool that we're going to start processing. Okay, so M4, let's go find that. I'm just going to create a new file, m4.sh. Alright, I'm just going to fast forward here as this is getting a little repetitive. This copying and pasting the tops of the headers and grabbing the right file, tarring, extracting. And I think this is like where I'm getting to the point where I think I've had enough of the copy and pasting. So let's actually create some files to put something like this in. I'm going to call them, let's say, add a new file. We'll call it inc for include start.sh, and we'll do a inc-n.sh as well. So, and then these are going to be the top and bottom for each of the shell scripts, so we don't have to keep rewriting and pasting and copying all this code. Okay, so I'm going to go to the M4, let's see, one, and just copy and paste this section into here. And we're actually going to grab the file as a parameter. So $1 is the first parameter to the script, and that will be the file. So let's say this would be $file. And now we need to actually get the directory to CD into. So this is going to be an interesting little challenge. How can we extract that from this? So we're going to use the awk tool for this. So directory equals, and we're going to use echo file and pipe it to awk. And we're going to use dash capital F so that we can set the, alright, so .t as the parameter to separate the string on. And we'll print $1 because we're going to print the first part of it. And then, let's see, what am I missing here? Okay, CD to $dir, and do we echo PW, or just call PWD so we can show where we're at. Yeah, I'm missing, there you go. So let's try to run this in the console or the terminal. So we can just run bash, let's see, I can't type here, build underscore scripts, inkstart.sh, and pass it in the tar file. And you'll see that it says the directory is tar-1.34. Source is tar-1.34. So there you go. So you got the .t from tar. I didn't want to use .tar because very well could be a .tgz file or something like that. So I think this should work. If it doesn't in the future, it'll break and we'll fix it. So let's move on now to the next one, which would be the end file. Or actually first, yeah, let's copy this and put that at the top. Alright, GCC pass 1. We don't want to do that. We want to do, let's say, processing $1. Okay, so now it's going to say it's our dollar file. Let's use that and put that up at the top instead. And let's see, we can put some extra stuff, extracting, and let's see, echo, let's see, changing path, or changed to build path. Just some extra status text so that you can tell what's going on. Alright, so now we take that and put that in the ink end file as well. We'll say done processing dollar file. And let's see, what else do we need? We need to pull some other stuff from the ink start, or so CD to sources. Yeah, actually CD to sources. Let's see, we'll copy this directory here and we'll remove that directory. Okay, and put that at the end. And we can put some extra text, say it's, you know, cleaning up. Alright, so that'll be our start and end for each of the scripts. So now let's move on and implement this in one of these scripts. We'll start with the M4. So we can actually get rid of all this stuff, and we can say dot space, you need a space here. You can either use source space or dot space, and that will pretty much include the file there. So distroot slash build env slash build scripts slash inc start.sh, and passing it in, we need to, well, yeah, first we'll create the inc end as well. And then down here in the middle is where all your code goes for the build process. So now we want to pass in $1. That's the first parameter of the script. So what is passed to this script will be passed into the include files. So I want to pass them into this script instead of having this script pass them in. So we'll actually put that in the next one. Let's go to the end curses as well. That's a small one. This is a small one as well. So we'll see how easy it is to create another one. I'm just going to copy, rename it, end curses. Okay, and we would put our code for end curses inside here. Yeah, this one's got a little bit of extra stuff. Okay, now we run the configure script. And then there should be a make and make install. Yep, there's a make, and then I'll copy this. So make, and then paste that. And let's look at the rest of this stuff. So moving these libs, some of these libs get put in /bin, and we like to use /user/bin. Kind of more of the standard nowadays. Alright. So actually we're moving backwards. But you can read more about that on the Linux from Scratch website. Alright, so let me actually, where is that file? libstdc++. I'm going to pass that in when I call it on the create script. I'm just going to move this over here so it's next to each other. So you see I'm going to actually pass the tar file into each of these scripts. So I can grab the one for, what was the other one we were doing? Let me close these, M4. So let me update this one as well. So I'm going to make this libstdc++ one use this updated code as well. Okay, so another thing actually I just thought of, if this GCC is actually compiled for GCC as well, so you really won't know which script you're on if we just print that out. So let's print out the actual script name. So this libstdcpp pass1, if we say we're processing this script instead of just saying we're processing that tar. So in order to do that, we can actually just press $0. $0 is the actual path to the script that we're currently inside of. So what I can do is, instead of saying processing $file, I can say processing $2. So that'll give us the script that we're processing. And let's see. And we'll want to do that in these other scripts as well. Just take $0. Actually, we'll do $base name $0, so we just get the script name and not the full path to the script. So I'm going to paste that at the end of there. And let's see, we'll do the same thing on these. you're following along. If any of this is moving too fast for you, just let me know in the comments. I can explain things a little easier, especially if you join the Reddit subreddit channel. We can discuss more in details there. Let's see. Configure and make tester install. So this should start moving a lot faster now that we've created these macros. Or I don't know if I'd call them macros. They're shell scripts that we're including. So let's say, now let's execute those new files. You can actually go back and redo the first couple of them to use the same format as well. I'm not going to do that right now, but it's probably something worth doing. Import.sh and curses.sh, and we'll pass in, let's see, M4 and ncurses. So that will build those 3 packages. Let's just try and run it. And when we create, you see it says extracting, it says processing that pass1.sh, and it says extracting, and now it's building. And I'm just going to jump to the end here, fast forward through all this, and then we'll be able to see at the very end it says, finished processing ncurses, done processing ncurses, and done. So now we know it completed, and those 3 packages all built successfully. Now we'll move on to bash. So let's see, let's actually copy this. We'll create a template one. We'll just call it base.sh. So this is going to be the base for pretty much all the ones that we're doing. We don't have to, even though it's only 2 lines now, we don't want to have to keep copy and paste, and I'll just copy from this script, rename it as bash.sh, and now we can start putting the bash build code in here. So starts with configure, so we got a make and a make tester install. And then these couple of moving and linking. I'm just going to get rid of that. Okay, so that's a lot quicker. So much faster than the previous way of doing these. So now let's do the core utils. So again, copy base, core utils. We'll take the configure, make and make tester install. And then all of these movements. Wants to move these things to /bin. Darn it, it's resizing stuff for me on accident. Okay. Okay, and I think that's all there is to that one. I actually don't need all of these, but we'll just keep that as is for now. And let's say diff utils is again copy the base, rename it as diff utils, configure and make tester install, and make, and then the tester install. You can just put that all in one line here. See how much nicer it is to reuse code instead of typing and copy and pasting things all over the place. It makes things move much faster. And so we're moving on to the file. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to kind of breeze through these sections. Just for each one, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Create a copy of the base, take each of these sections and skip to the next page. So we're on Gawk. Now we're just copying these. Make sure I only put the right sections between there. On to the next one, grep. So essentially I'm just clicking next on each of these pages until we get to the end of this little section. Just so you don't have to watch me typing this stuff slowly over and over again. And again, like I said, you might want to actually go through this LFS website once just to learn about all these packages and what all these flags mean. Knowing these kind of things, it's not 100% necessary, but you know, anything that you know, it makes you smarter and makes you understand things a lot better. So we're getting through to XZ now. Let's see. Okay, and back to bin utils pass 2. So this one I'm calling bin utils dash pass dash 2. And then into the GCC pass 2, where we again do a lot of the same things we did on the first pass. This page actually describes in great detail why you need these different passes, because certain tools are available before in the initial compiles. So now we're actually going to start moving on to the next section. So let's build these things. So first I want to actually, let me comment out the ones that I've already built. Of course, before you check in, you're going to want to uncomment those. So now let me just kind of add all these different sections. So we started with bash, bash.sh, coreutils.sh, diffutils.sh. Again, I'll speed it up a little bit here. So just putting all these different shell files, and then after that I need to go find their tar files. So I'll find them in this build env list. I'm just going to copy the whole thing over and paste them in there one at a time. Just make sure you get the right one with the right shell script. Otherwise you're going to get packages built incorrectly or in the incorrect order. Okay, this last couple, and bin utils and GCC. Okay, so now I'm just going to run create.sh, processing batch, and there we go. And we see there's an error already. And the issue is actually with core utils because it has a T in the middle of it, and awk is treating that dot as any character regular expression. So I need to add some backslashes to kind of escape that character. So it's actually 4 backslashes before the dot, believe it or not. So we'd put that in the beginning and the end. And let's go back to processing. Clear and run create. And now it's moved on to core utils and processing fine. And again, I'm going to jump to the end here, and it's done processing that GCC tar. So I think that's actually a good stopping point here, as we finished all these temporary tools before we start moving into the change root environment to actually start building the rest of our build environment. So again, I hope you learned something from this video. I tried to speed through a lot of it because I know a lot of it gets to be just kind of droning over and over, but I can't reiterate enough that you should really read the details on this website if you really want to know more in depth what all these packages do, what all the configuration options are. But for the purpose of this video, we're just kind of focusing on how we're going to use it to build our own environment for our own Linux distribution. So the next part, we're going to actually move into a change root environment where we can start building some of the other parts of the tools, and that'll pretty much be the end of our build tools environment before we move on to actually creating the real packages for our distribution. So yeah, I hope you did learn something from this. I did, I guess, a little bit extra of bash scripting there, and maybe you learned something from the awk command. But if you did like this video, please again like, comment, subscribe, join our subreddit, and thanks again for watching.